Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat shalom. Welcome to Congregation Ormi, especially if it's your first time here ever. And welcome to those who are here most weeks. Welcome to those also who are joining from home through our live stream. We begin our service together on page 1 with I Am Israel. And let's read this in English together. All the generations before exist within me. All are present at this moment. Dwellers in tents and tenements, weavers, tailors, bankers, physicians, beggars dozing in the sunny corner, fruit sellers freezing in the market square, mothers and fathers in a tangled chain, all those who studied the Torah, all those who settled the land, all those who were crammed into steerage, who broke the glass and circumcised their sons, 600,000 who stood at Sinai, 6 million souls who perished. Abraham, my father, Sarah, my mother, Joseph, my brother, Miriam, my sister, Moses, my teacher. Their voices speak in me. I am Israel. I'd like to invite up Ron to light our Shabbat candles. We are on page 4.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As our brightness reminds us of the generation of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitchanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechadlik ner shel Shabbat.
At this point in our service, we think of the week that has passed, and we hold on to all of the good things from this past week. So if you had an experience that inspired gratitude, if you have some good news to share, no matter how big or how small, I invite you to share that joy with the community now. Yeah, Russ?
Dinner with my grandson.
Awesome. Anyone else eat dinner this week? No.
I had dinner with him, but not last night.
Yeah. Ron?
Since we're talking about generations, today I went to one of the oldest houses in America, Shirley Plantation, and in which the 12th generation living in that house was in residence.
Wow.
12th
It's a
generation,
lot of history.
1723.
So we thank God for these blessings, to see history continue and to have opportunities with the next generation in our own family. And we thank God for the gift of life, simply for being alive for this moment in time, at the words of Shehechianu on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Amen. I invite you to read responsively on page 6. Shabbat. For our ancestors, the seventh day was a sign of their covenant with God. They kept it faithfully.
Those were torn by violence from without. Shabbat made them feel whole within.
When their lives were embittered, Shabbat brought them sweetness. When their lives were peaceful, Shabbat deepened their joy.
Our ways are not like theirs. We have leisure time, retreats and vacations, idle days, but few Sabbaths.
We speak many words, but few that remind us of the covenant.
We praise proficiency at time management, but forget the holiness of the moment.
Let us emerge from this Sabbath renewed in our quest for wholeness, reawakened to the urgent beauty of being present in a God-filled world.
Let us crown the seventh day by living it, by tasting its sweetness, by feeling its joy, by opening ourselves to it in awe. And we continue with Lecha Dodi on page 7. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu b'nelcha, Ki hi mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Kiva orech kumi uri, uri shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alaich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. We we rise together and face the entrance to symbolically welcome in the presence of Shabbat.
Boi בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated. Praying together, top of page 8. Praying together. Long ago, King David said to the community of Israel, "Now bless the eternal your God." And the whole congregation blessed the eternal God of their mothers and fathers and bowed their heads low. Now, in the presence of community, in the pursuit of the sacred, in gratitude and awe, we too bow before the infinite.
Please rise for our official call to worship, the Baruch Hu.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. As new generations come and go, the world remains largely the same. The sun rises and sets each day. Winds blow according to their set patterns. Seas flow as if following a diagram drawn carefully by God's own steady hand. Every night, constellations assume their positions in the sky, faithfully reminding us that what has been will be again for each generation to enjoy. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue with the Shema, the bottom of page 9.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. Continue on page 10. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol me'otecha והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושינתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Bless you. Page 11. We read responsively. Precious is the light by which we gaze upon the past, and blessed are the journeys of those who came before us.
Abraham and Sarah left familiar ways, went forth to places they did not know. Moses and Miriam led their people for fear to faith through a wilderness of doubt.
Blessed is the wisdom of sages and prophets who taught our ancestors the life of holiness.
You shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the stranger's heart.
Let justice well up like water, righteousness like an unfailing stream.
You must not remain indifferent. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Out of violence and brokenness came prayers of healing, a religion of renewal, joy, and compassion.
Through centuries of longing, their hearts in the east when they were in the west. Those who came before us prayed, next year in Jerusalem.
Inspired by their journeys of determination and love, may we find our own ways of marching to the promised land. Continue on. Page 12, Micha Mocha.
Yai lai 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 yai la 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 ya la la yai lai 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 yai la 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 yai lai 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 ya la 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 ya la la yai lai 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 yai lai 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha netar b'kodesh Nora tehilot osefele, Nora tehilot osefele.
We continue with Vishamru at the bottom of page 12.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית
olam. Uvayom hashvi, shavat vaynafash, shavat vaynafash, shavat vaynafash, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We read responsively on the top of page 13. Our God and God of the generations before us, we long to feel close and connected to you.
You are the living memory we carry of mothers and fathers, and the mothers and fathers before them.
You are the lasting memory of sages and students, of prophets and priests.
Adonai, we know you through the bearers of wisdom in every generation, including our own.
We know you today as the voice of kindness within us. We know you also as the constant hope that lives in our heart.
You are the awe we cannot name. You are the name we give to all that is worthy of reverence, devotion, and gratitude.
You are the sacred presence that connects everything. You are the one who creates and protects all life.
Please rise for our central prayer, the Amidah. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, V'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, u'mevii geula lifnei bneihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. Please be seated. We continue with a quiet moment for personal prayer or reflection. Shalom Rav al Yisrael.
עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. בטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
This brings us to our Torah service on page 16. Please rise as the ark is open.
כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. גדלו לאדוני איתי ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה, ואמיץ נעשה לכל לראש. ותהל ליבנו, ותהל ליבנו, ותהל ליבנו לעבדך באמת, ותהל ליבנו, ותהל ליבנו, ותהל ליבנו לעבדך באמת. יא לה לה לה, יא לה לה, יא לה לה, יא לה לה.
Please be seated. For our Aliyah tonight, we invite up Stan Foyer. Ya'amod Shalom Yisrael ben Yonah Halevi levarech et haTorah.
Baruch es Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach li'olam voed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chabonu mikol ha'amim v'noton lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. ויהי ב40 שנה ב12 חודש האחד לחודש דיבר משה אל בני ישראל ככל אשר ציווה אדוני אותו עליהם. It was in the 40th year, on the first day of the 11th month, that Moses spoke to the children of Israel, addressing them with every instruction that God had given Moses to share with them. אחרי חכתו את סיבון מלך האמורי אשר יושב בחשבון את אוג מלך הבשון אשר יושב באתרעות באדרעי. After he had defeated Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had dwelled in Heshbon, and King Og of Bashan, who dwelled at Ashtroth and Edrei, Be'avar HaYardan, Be'eretz Moav, Ha'oil, Moshe, Be'er et HaTorah, Ve'et Lemor Adonai Eloheinu diber Eloheinu b'chorav lemor rav lachem shavet b'char hazeh. On the other side of Jordan, in the land of Moab, Moses undertook the task of making clear these teachings. He said, Adonai, our God, spoke to us at Horeb, saying, you have stayed long enough on this mountain.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emes, v'chayei olam notah b'tzochenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Now is the time in our service that we turn our hearts to those in need of healing. As an Orami community, we are thinking tonight of Beth Raniclav, Terry Schneier, and Alyssa Freeman. If there are any other names, feel welcome to share them. Yeah. Yeah.
Cheryl Grafty, Margie McCory. Martha Klein, Gary Patterson. Jesse Narpa. Steve Parker.
Annette Sanders and Wanda Ferguson.
Barbara Westmoreland and Judy.
Thank you. For all those we shared and all those we hold in our hearts, let's join together with Misha Berach.
Top of page 18.
Misheberach avotenu mikor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, their renewal of body, their renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Amen. We now invite up Eddie and Alex to lift and dress the Torah. Please rise as the Torah is lifted. Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biad Moshe al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim al shlosha haolam omed al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim al shlosha devarim haolam omed al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut hasadim al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Etz chaim hi lemachzikim ba v'tomecha meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu kekedem. Please be seated.
There once was an old bookseller named Herschel. He owned a tiny little shop in the corner of town. Now this little shop, although not much bigger than the size of an old oak tree, was very special. Every inch of this tiny shop was covered with books from all over the world. There were little books, big books, books with rainbow covers, books written in all the languages of the world. But the most special book of all was a book that Herschel stored in a little nook in the very corner of his shop. This was a book that Herschel would never sell. It was bound in gold, and the cover had little tiny rubies that would shimmer whenever they hit the light. Now, this book was magical. Each time Herschel would read this book, a new story would appear written before his very eyes. Herschel spent time each day reading each new tale and making sure to check over all the old stories as well. For if a story was not read for long enough, it would disappear. Sometimes Herschel would read a story with words already vanishing on the page before him. He read these stories ravenously, trying to take in each and every word before it was too late, grasping at each punctuation mark. Sometimes he tried to write down these old stories, recounting what happened to the best of his ability. He usually missed a few details or added his own little flourish. Now, Herschel got this magic book on his 10th birthday from his grandmother, who had received the book on her 10th birthday from her grandfather, who received the book on his 10th birthday from his grandparent, and so on and so forth, in what seemed like an endless chain of history, making this year extraordinarily special because Herschel's own granddaughter, Mira, would be turning 10. In preparation for this day, Herschel had been reading to his granddaughter from the magical book. He had been dutifully explaining how she must spend time each and every day reading both old and new stories to ensure their family legacy would continue. Herschel had witnessed the glimmer in her eye as he explained how to best keep the book cared for. Now Mira took her responsibility very seriously. She spent an hour each day before school reading the stories, ensuring that new ones were written and old ones were preserved. She shared the stories with her friends, wrote down little snippets from each morning story in her notebook just to be safe. She even started to write her own stories, inspired by the stories in the magic book. Now, as time went on, Mira got busy, as all people do when they get a little older. Her grandfather had handed off most of the bookstore responsibilities to her. Working at the little bookstore while going to school and trying to have time with her friends meant she didn't always have as much time as she would like to read. Some days she could only take 10 minutes to read. Other days she could not read at all. Some time went by, and Mira realized it had been almost 5 years since she had last read from her family's magical book. When she opened it, she was distraught to find that some of the oldest stories had completely disappeared and others were fading quickly. In a panic, Mira ushered customers out the door and immediately closed the bookstore. She ran as quickly as she could to her grandfather's home, clutching the magic book close to her. She could spare no time in her desperate attempt to salvage what she could. By the time Mira arrived at Herschel's home, tears were streaming down her face. She ran into her grandfather's study where he was quietly reading one of his many books. "Grandpa, Grandpa," Mira yelled. "They're gone. They're all gone, and it's all my fault, and I can't get them back." Herschel looked up carefully from his book. He responded slowly. "What's all gone?" The stories, our family's legacy, it's all gone," Mira responded, between sobs. Herschel took a long moment to think. Taking the precious book carefully into his hands, he slowly examined the pages. Herschel said thoughtfully. "While some of these stories are no longer found in these pages, I think they can all still be found in our hearts. I know them all so well, and I'm sure that you do too. We can work together to fix this problem." The pair worked diligently into the night. Mira pulled out all her old notebooks where she had written her favorite parts of each story into the margins. It turned out that Herschel had too written down some of his favorite stories after making similar mistakes in his youth. They called old friends with whom they'd shared many of the stories with, hoping they could fill in the missing plot points and crucial details. Mira and Herschel told each other the stories, working together to sort out the details. Was this the story with the talking trees? Was it the 5 lions in the story, or 6? Or what was the name of that main character in this one? Eventually, their hard work paid off. While each story was not precisely as it had been written before, all the core pieces remained. When it was all done, Mira and Herschel breathed a sigh of relief. They'd done it. They saved the crucial piece of their family's history. Now, I wish I could say that this sort of heroic effort was only needed once, but life happens. Mira was not always able to read so diligently. Things would often get in the way, and some details would once again start to fade on the pages of the magical book bound in gold and glimmering rubies. When it came time for Mira to pass her family's magic book to her own grandchild, Mira was careful to pass the same warning that Herschel had given to her. To keep the book alive, we read it faithfully and be sure to make time for all the important stories, both the old and the new. This week's Torah portion, Devarim, reminds us of this important lesson. Devarim marks the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy and consists mostly of Moses' retelling of what happened in the previous book of Exodus. Like when many of us retell a story, some of the details are a little changed, ever so slightly, or even brushed over. Perhaps at this later point in his life, Moses sees the Israelites' actions with rose-colored glasses, or perhaps his memory had gotten a little fuzzy at 40 long years in the wilderness. The details here do not matter as much as the act of recounting and retelling. By retelling as much as he could about their journey together, Moses helped to pass along the knowledge to future generations and ensure the continuity of this collective wisdom. While reading the Torah year after year and retelling our shared stories, we too bring life and meaning to our collective Jewish past. It is such a gift to be able to pass down the Torah's wisdom from generation to generation, and even more of a gift that we can use it to guide us across the span of thousands of years. Like Mira, we might find that we are not always able to spend as much time as we would like reading the Torah or other important books. Fortunately, unlike Mira and Herschel's book, the text of the Torah does not fade or disappear. As long as we keep the Torah alive and in our hearts and in our shared stories and values with our loved ones, we can draw meaning from the sacred book time and time again. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
I'd like to invite up Leah to share some brief announcements on behalf of the board.
Shabbat Shalom. Just a few announcements. Next week, we have Jewish meditation at 7 o'clock, which will be both in person and on Zoom. And we have a special service at 7:30, again, both in person and Zoom. It's the Refugee Shabbat service. And our guest speaker is Michelle Brito from Mixteca. And then on Saturday, August 5th, it's the Bar Mitzvah of Michael Rossi at 10:30, again, in person and virtual. And then, let's see, we are looking for high holiday volunteers. If you're interested in reading Torah, reading English readings, or helping with other logistics, please fill out the quick form found in the weekly email, which is also posted on our Facebook page. Thank you. And I think Bruce has an announcement.
Real quick. Take a look. Just be real quick. It's all written right here. So I'm on the facilities committee, and this committee does a lot of stuff that you oftentimes don't even see. But you'll see tonight when you leave, we have all new lights outside on the building and in the island. And thanks to a grant from FEMA and Grace Silverstein, who helped get that done. New alarm system is going to be put in very, very soon. We thank Jeff Haken for all the work he's doing there. Tomorrow, a group of us, including David and some others, I'm going to put a new mailbox out front so Maria doesn't have to walk all the way to Huguenot Road to get the mail. Soon, hopefully we'll have a little ramp off this emergency door. We have a Boy Scout member of the congregation who said he'd like to do that for us. So a lot going on. A lot that you don't see. The carpet that you walked on today, the walls that you see painted, all done with volunteers helping out. The piano that Pat plays, a volunteer helped get that here. Every window in this building now has safety film on it. Again, thanks to a grant and some volunteers. A lot of people doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. That leads me to somewhere. Our computer is in really tough shape. We need someone to help step up to the plate and help get our IT and our information technology square. So if any of you are inclined to do that, please step up. So just want to put a little shout out for the facilities committee and some of the things we try to get done. So we got all that written on this piece of paper.
So I think Bruce has one of the pages from that magical book. Just keep adding more details of each generation.
Yeah.
So we continue our service on page 20 with Aleinu. Please rise for the Aleinu prayer.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad.
At this point in our service, we think of loved ones who have passed away recently or at this time in years past. Tonight we remember with love the yardsites of Adele Breslow, mother of Marilyn Breslow, Amy Calietta, cousin of Lisa Wilburn, Ed Fertel, longtime member of ORME, Harold Hansel, father of Jeff Hansel, Harold Hofheimer, husband of Ellen Hofheimer, William May, father of Eileen May, Mike Nigro, uncle of Alyssa Freeman, and Sylvia Selden, mother of Amy Arcava. Are there other loved ones we wish to remember tonight?
Margaret Harris, mother of David, and Dorothy Packer, mother of Susan Harris.
Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be a blessing. We remain standing as a community of support for the Mourners Kaddish on page 21. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, B'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olomei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shmei dekudesha brichu, Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort for all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. We conclude our service tonight with a song for the generations, Adon Olam, on page 23.
Asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam v'harei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora Adon Olam v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam v'hu echad v'ein sheni lehamshir lo leachbira Adon Olam b'li reshit, b'li tachlit, b'lo ahoz b'am Yisra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam v'hu eli v'chai goali b'tzur chavli b'yetzara Adon Olam v'hu nisi umanos li minat kosi b'yom mikra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam bi'ado avkid ruchi be'et dishan be'a'ira Adon Olam ve'im ruchi kiviati Adonai li v'lo ira Adon Olam.
Thank you, Patricia, for playing piano tonight. Thank you, everyone, for being here for Shabbat. We will continue with Kiddush and Motzi, but before we enjoy our food, just a reminder, we're collecting food for others, for immigrant families and refugees in the area. So we'll have the collection bins here until next Friday night, our Refugee Shabbat service. So if you're around and you want to drop stuff off during the week, let us know. You can call the office, make sure the building's open, or bring it next Friday night. And if you don't like buying food, you can get a gift card instead. It's a lot more portable than some heavy food items. So there's lots of ways to help out and be a part of our Refugee Shabbat. So thank you again. Shabbat Shalom.